One of my favorite scenes in an awesome movie is in Joe Dirt, when they say, "Is your name Joe Dirt?" And he's like, "It's Dirte."
Joe Dirte?
Don't try and church it up, son. Don't you mean Joe Dirt?
So it got me thinking, do you think Cletus Kassady, aka Carnage, ever is like, "It's Carnage"? You know, to be a little classy. Maybe I should say, no, it's not Mr. X, it's Mr. X. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Welcome to the Extreme channel. We have another custom collectible here. This is a custom 1/4 scale Carnage statue. So custom means it's a private unlicensed commission. They only made 40 of these. Carnage is an offshoot of Venom, which is an offshoot from Spider-Man, kind of. So Carnage has been around for about 20-30 years, and I've always been a big fan of Carnage, but even more so after the Absolute Carnage event, which, if you don't know what that is, about 3-4 years ago, basically became unstoppable. He fought off X-Men and Avengers, all in anticipation of Null. This is Null. It's a statue of Null right here. Null is actually the father or the god of the symbiotes, one of the most powerful Marvel beings, and I've said it so many times, eventually I think he's going to come into the MCU and be the new Thanos. But this is one of many Carnage statues I own. And I want you to stay tuned because in a few days, in about a week, I'm going to do a video with 5 different Carnage statues, including this one and Sideshow's newest one. But today we're going to do an in-depth review on this one, and I got to tell you, this is a big question mark for me. When they originally showed the render, so they do a computerized render of the digital sculpt, it looked amazing. And then they showed the prototype, which was an unpainted prototype, and it still looked good, but not as good as the render. Then I saw pictures of production pieces painted, like this one right here, and I wasn't a fan. So we'll see if my opinion has changed now that I have them in person. And let's do it with an extreme review, starting with concept. So first of all, concept is, does it look cool? What's going on? And this is a very simplistic statue with a lot going on. So it's almost an oxymoron, you know, like jumbo shrimp. Very simple base. Underneath the base, you see underneath the street, you see dirt. On the back are some pipes we'll look at during some close-up video. On top is just broken up concrete. But then you have the tendrils or the symbiote everywhere. Now Carnage is an interesting beast because his suit isn't black, it's actually red, but symbiote is black. Now there's a few different Carnage pieces that have symbiote everywhere, but this one I think takes the cake. I love how it's coming out of the ground. I love how it's all over his suit. I love how it's jumping back and forth. And again, we'll look at some others in comparison, but he's standing there in a museum pose, but it's a pretty powerful museum pose. And with that being said, as you move up, you see the suit almost like it's alive, moving all over him. His hands are raised in the air, almost in power. So maybe he just got the suit on him. We know that the symbiotes kind of control the host, but they kind of complement the host as well, and he's a serial killer. Move up, he just looks nasty. He has his tongue out. He's kind of roaring, his arms in the air, very powerful. So I very much do like the concept despite the simplicity of it. So while it is a little boring, like I said, I think what they did with the tendrils kind of puts it over the top. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the concept, a little bit better than average. Design is also very simplistic as well. Not a lot of switch out options. What you see is what you get for the most part. He doesn't take up a big footprint. So his widest point, this is with the tendrils coming out, is only about 13 inches. The tallest point on his head is just under or over 21 inches. And he's only about 9 or 10 inches deep, which is nice because he doesn't take up a lot of room. Now the assembly is pretty easy conceptually, but execution is a little bit hard. So you have the base and the body, and then you gotta get all those tendril pieces inputted. Check out the unboxing. Compact box, which is nice, helps save on shipping. A little bit of an art box on the front of it. And it was the custom black foam with 2 different layers. The first layer had the body and a few of the tendrils. The second layer, you can see right here, actually had the base and a lot more tendrils, including 3 baggies full of tendrils. Now when I first opened the box and saw the different tendril pieces, I was a little worried, but some of them are switch outs. So on his hands, actually, he doesn't have fingertips, so you can actually have these sharp claws that you see right here, and you can have them on both hands or you can switch them out. This is what he looks like with the sharp claws. Or you can make those into tendrils coming up, which I actually like both of them. This is what it looks like with the tendrils coming up. So as you see here, kind of hard to see the color here, but I've done one hand, his left hand with the claws, the right hand with the tendrils, but I think that's a pretty cool, simple feature. But that's the only switch out options. I suppose you could display him without the tongue. So here's a picture with the tongue. And here's a picture without. That's not true. Alright, so putting it together, if you saw, the tendrils had to kind of bend a little bit, but that's normal. But thankfully, everything slid right into the hole.
Hey, that's what she said.
So for design, I think it's pretty cool what they did. I also give the design a 4 out of 5. And also to note, that means there's no seam lines on him, which is fantastic. Paint and sculpt. Kind of torn on this. It's definitely better than I thought it would be in the photos. Here's some close-ups. Now as we look at him, there's only a few different things we actually have to look at. Starting with the base. So down underneath, of course, they're going to insinuate that's under the ground, so you have some dirt pieces. It looks fine. Doesn't look bad or good. They put some pipes on the back just to probably mix it up a little bit. The color of the pipes I'm not a huge fan of, but you can't even see those when you display it. It is interesting that they almost have some black symbiote in the ground, so that is kind of a cool transition moving up to the top. The concrete base with the cracks and the dirt underneath it looks good. Again, this is a more of a simple museum piece. The tendrils, one of the main parts of him, I think are perfect. They're not very hard to do. They have that shiny gloss that kind of differentiates from his suit or body, so it looks good. I like how it's everywhere, as we talked about in concept. That's one of the coolest parts of this statue. These huge toenails down here look fantastic. And then they chose more of a darker red on him, and I kind of like that. Now what's interesting is on the camera with the lights on it, it's showing up brighter than it is, but it's pretty dark in person. They have all the muscle striations all over the place, and a lot of black shading to really help darken it up. But it looks fantastic. The anatomy is kind of strange looking, but I like it. So it's not your typical human anatomy, which you would think that, you know, falling right onto the symbiote suit, falling onto a humanoid. So his chest is kind of puffed out too much. He doesn't have any junk. Just kind of a weird, awkward physique. And I think it really adds to the fact that you feel like the suit is moving. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's a good byproduct in the end. And he is in a strange position. You can see how he's arching his back, almost like the power of the symbiote is coming through him. I do like that the black symbiote on his body matches the tendrils we attached. A lot of time that's not the case when people do Carnage statues. Then the nails look fantastic. I do like that they were separate pieces at first. I wasn't digging it, but I think that shine and that sharpness really look good. And then how they're transitioning to more of the symbiote over here. And of course the portrait. Now they did a few things here. The yellow eyes, you typically don't see that. Again, they're brighter under these lights and on the camera than they are in real life. I do like it. I like it because it's different. I also like how his mouth is almost, you can see like tearing apart, like something you'd see in Alien. I haven't seen that before in a Carnage, so I think that looks great. A little bit different off color. The teeth could have been done better as far as paint. I'm not a fan of the white they chose, and it's almost caked on there, so I think that's a negative. The tongue, I like how it's a deeper, darker red. It has kind of a moist effect on it. I'm never a fan of green saliva on any statue. I know some Venom statues have it. So I wish they would have done that a different color or more of a translucent resin. I wouldn't have wanted white because it would match the teeth, and there's a lot of sick jokes we could talk about. But yeah, so I think it looks good. I just don't agree with the preference. But I think the biggest opportunity on the statue in whole is the paint on the teeth. But I can get over it because the farther you move back, it's not really a huge deal. So I like a lot of what they did here. Paint. I actually really like it. I'm a big fan of the paint. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the paint a 4 out of 5 on this. I think it's done well. Like I said, good contrast, very clean. It's hard to do those symbiote lines on the actual red here. And I think using different shades of red or the darker red was nice. Now, I'm keeping the teeth out of that equation because the teeth are done bad, honestly. Sculpt. I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's a 3 out of 5 on the sculpt. Now, 3 is not a bad score. 3 is you get what you pay for, which is a good transition to talk about value for this piece. Is it worth it? Now, retail was $900 and they made 40. So 40 of these for $900. Now, recently, as I said, Sideshow released their new Carnage Premium format, which actually arrives today, the day I'm filming this. And we'll compare it to this one, but that's quite a bit cheaper. But there's a huge edition size for that. I think some people will like the simplicity of this as well as all the tendrils a little bit more, so I definitely think I could get my money back. But that's probably it. So 3 out of 5 is also the score on the value for this piece, because I think it does have some redeeming features, and overall it is done very well. But does it have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5? No, it's not. It's not the best Carnage statue out there, or is it? We may find out in that upcoming video. But I would go ahead and I'd give this overall a solid 3 out of 5 statue. I am very happy with it. It's almost a weak 4 out of 5, but I'm pleasantly surprised. Let's leave it at that. I like that it's unique. I like that it doesn't take up space. So I am a satisfied customer. Now, while I can't talk about where I got this from, this is actually made by the studio that made this amazing Venom, if you remember this review. So he's going to join my symbiote collection. Let me know, what's your favorite symbiote statue out there? I used to own about 50 of them, and I'm down to about 30 now. And I still have about 10 more coming in. But what's your favorite symbiote statue? Throw that in the comments below, because you could win a statue with that comment. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. If you could do me one favor since you took time to watch this, hit that like button. It's free and easy. I really appreciate it. If you like stuff like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification. Doesn't mean you have to watch if you're busy. I'm subscribed to like 200 channels and I never watch them. So with that being said, subscribe and don't watch. Take care.